the next day we see this like article in the news, and it was like a far right um, religious extremist group, like, but like a pretty big one. Like it had like 600,000 reshares saying that we were doing satanic rituals, and like we must die, and like we were stuck there for like a week, dude.
Sweet guys, welcome back to another episode of Sludge Underground. I am Marcel, and I've got a special guest here today to tell me some things that have been going on in the world of South African metal and some more international metal, actually. Luke, introduce yourself and what it is you do.
Hey, what's up? My name's Luke. I play guitar for Vulvodynia. I work as an A&R for Arson Theory, and yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that people might be curious about what you have to say right now is the Vulvodynia vocalist editions. That seems to be like a pretty big deal on the internet right now. Lwandile delivered some very interesting presentation. What do you got to say about that?
So yeah, first of all, Lwandile's editing skills, he did that in like a day. I don't know how he did that. He did that super well without making it cringy, which is very important. We've gotten some really cool auditions so far. If you guys want to check out our page, Instagram or Facebook, and there's competition rules. But yeah, it's going super well so far. We're getting some really good response from it, and we got our first good metal injection article, like first non like like slamming us for like something like or other, like slamming one of our ex-members for something, or so that was nice to see. It's been bringing a lot of positive exposure to the band, which is cool. I think the way it was filmed, it was funny, it was tongue-in-cheek, like it was a cool way to do a vocal audition thing, I think, and that was all Lwandile's idea.
I think he is so publicly done with being a vocalist.
I have expressed on many occasions that this is not what I want to do with my life.
I hope this is common knowledge that all Lwandile wants to do is play guitar. It's something that he's very vocal about. It's something that he's a great vocalist, but it's not his calling. It's not what he wants to do.
Yes. So what's crazy about Lwandile is that like he's the best guitarist in the band, and he's not even the guitarist of the band technically, like on these last few tours. But on the last tour we did with All Shall Perish in December, he actually got to play one of his favorite songs ever with his favorite guitarist ever on stage twice. So that for him was like a highlight. Like he bought his guitar because our previous vocalist was meant to be on that tour. Then Lwandile took over on vocals. But yeah, he's definitely going to be very stoked to go back to guitar. That's his thing. Like he is phenomenal at vocals. He's a phenomenal front man. He's so good at controlling the crowd. But having him doing what he wants to do as well as backing vocals, I think could make the band sound a lot stronger.
Like I often make like the statement that he's kind of like a 1 in a million guitarist, and while he is a great vocalist, he's a significantly better like guitarist than he is vocalist, which is saying something because he's already better than most at vocals. And it blows my mind that that's the trap, that's the unfortunate trap he's in. And I hope that it pans out pretty soon. And you guys are obviously accepting auditions from all over the world. It's not limited, obviously, to within South Africa. So where are some of the places that these auditions have been coming in from?
Yeah, so we've got some from America, Canada, Belgium so far, England. So they're coming from all over. We're basically just going to go through the processes. We've got a sort of idea of what we want to do for these auditions, and then go through those processes, make sure we do background checks, obviously. And yeah, hopefully third time's the charm, hey? Like,
yeah, hopefully. I think I made a joke with Chris. He was at the Ignite show when Ignite came through to South Africa recently. And I was like, hopefully it's not like the position is cursed. Hopefully it's not like the sign up here to ruin your life.
I just think you get that thing with that, like, it's a stereotype for a reason, but vocalists and egos go hand in hand. Um, Once that like power gets to your head, I think for some people they can't handle it. Like they just lose themselves a little bit, which is sad. It is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, it's that stereotypical vocalist ego trip. I mean, look at Vince Neil from Motley Crue and Axl Rose and all those guys. They were assholes. They were absolute assholes. Like that stuff wouldn't be allowed today. Like not at all, you know. Um, but it's people thinking they can act like that. Not necessarily saying we've been through that, but just in general, like that whole vocalist ego thing, like it's definitely a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, even on smaller scales, it can range from like mildly frustrating to absolutely devastating. So, either way, it's like problematic. And like something that I've personally been curious about for a long time with Vulvodynia, uh, with obviously the majority of the band being South African, you guys tour internationally like a significant amount more than the vast majority, or pretty much all South African bands at this point. Tell me a bit more like about like those sort of experiences for any of those bands who might be curious about how that even sort of comes into like place or those type of things.
So for us, when we started the band, I started the band with Duncan when I was 16, and it was meant to be like a two-man internet project type thing, never to be taken too seriously. We were just like, let's just do this because there's no like cool slamming deathcore in South Africa. And that happened to be in 2014 when slamming deathcore as a subgenre was like the new Lorna Shore style black and deathcore. It was like pop. It was just starting to pop off. So we got guest features from two vocalists that we sort of like base our sound around, you could say, Ukrainian and Ingested. And then Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder wrote an article about us, and it snowballed from there. We played the Varkin battle. We actually didn't win, but we toured Europe 2 months later, literally just by selling merch. Like we were lucky enough to be an internet band for a long enough time. Like we didn't have any backing from our parents or from jobs or from anything. This was just from like accumulated years of like selling merch. That we were able to afford flights and stuff. And we met this amazing guy called Z. He works for Lacerated Enemy Records. We released Psychostatistic Design through him, and he drove us. He booked the tour for us, and yeah, it like just like I said, snowballed from there. I also commented as a joke, "Let's tour" on Steve from Despised Icons post. He posted Flesh Taylor on Facebook, sorry. And 20 minutes later, Alex Arian's phoning me, and he's like, "Yo, we're setting up a tour. Do you guys want to be a part of it?" And that was how we got onto the booking agency we're on, because they were on Avocado Booking, which is pretty much what you want to be on if you tour Europe. They're like the ones that offer you the tours and stuff like that. We got very lucky, I think, as well as the hard work. Like we did do the right things at the right time. Like there's a lot of it is down to what I would say is networking. Network as much as you can. Like speak to as many people as you can. Like never be afraid to like drop someone a message, even if you feel like they're like above your pay grade. Like I just joked and said, let's tour. And then it turned out we had like a full on bus tour with Archbuyer, Malevolence and Despised Icon, which is like that lineup is insane, like for anybody. So yeah, that's my best advice, at least.
Yeah, it must be an extremely surreal feeling to make a joke, and the next thing you know, you're on a bus touring with some of what is, I believe, some of your favorite bands and people that you've been looking up to, artists that you've, inspired to be like. And the next thing you know, after a joke on the internet, you're in a different country on tour with them and thinking, how the fuck did I get here in the first place? So I can't possibly imagine like how surreal that must have felt in the first place.
Oh yeah, like it also teaches you though that like these people are just people. They're not like gods. like the people have like this weird relationship with like bands and stuff where they treat them like they're like above them in any way. But when you meet them, they're like just as normal as any person, you know? Like they're just as real as you and I. Like they're just people, like at the end of the day. And that's a good lesson I learned from that too. Like these guys aren't like what you think they are on the internet, essentially. Like they're not these tough guy, hardcore, or like beat you up kind of guys. They're like the sweetest, friendliest dudes ever, and you make the best friends with them too. Like you make lifelong friendships with some of these guys, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like from my experience, with, for instance, like you guys with Vulvodynia, of running into like Chris or Tom at various different shows, you know, and sometimes Lwandile as well, and just have the most casual chats and just wholesome people to hang around at the very least. So it's you're bang on with that. I've met a couple of people where I think the one that shocked me the most was Ro from Enter Shikari. Was one of the most chilled people I had ever spoken to, and yeah, that was unbelievable to me. So definitely a good piece of advice, I think.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Same with me. Like when I met the Devil Wears Prada, they were like the chillest dudes ever. They were just guys hanging out. Like it's not that deep, you know. Just because they play instruments, it doesn't make them better than you.
Like, what are the plans going forward now with Vulvodynia? Obviously, are you guys waiting until the vocalist audition thing has panned out and played out before you start doing some more shows? I'm actually not sure if you guys have any tours or anything planned at the moment.
What we're gonna do for this year is we're gonna do those vocal auditions, re-record vocals for the album that we wrote last year. And then Lwandile is going to take over vocals for this year. We do have some summer festivals planned, like Brutal Assault, Tolminator. We've got a show with Cryptopsy and Terror in between that. And then there's like a bunch more getting announced like over the next couple weeks or so. So we're going to be doing a European festival run. I'm hoping we can go back to China and Asia this year. That was amazing. China was something that none of us expected. Like the amount of people at those shows and the amount of people that like know who your band like, is mind blowing. Because it's like they have their own social media, their own everything, and like we get people come up to us with like 5-page letters on how much the band means to them, and they can't even speak English, but they try their best. Like, and they're like do drawings of us, and like we're like, we didn't know we had fans in China. Like, what do you mean? Oh yeah, but yeah, it'd be cool to get back over there in Australia again. We haven't been to Australia in like 2 years, and the crowds there are always really sick. Might as well go to New Zealand if you're going all that way too. So hopefully lots of touring at the end half of this year. And then next year, you guys can expect an album for sure. We'll see on timelines and stuff, maybe even sooner. But we want to make sure we find the right guy, you know, like that we can trust. We tour with him first. We like suss him out, like all that kind of stuff, you know, before we're like, okay, cool, this is the guy.
Yeah. No, that's completely understandable. The China thing blows my mind as well, though, because like that's one place that you kind of don't expect there to be that big of a following, or in general, really. You know, like I'm actually trying to think now, like, do I know of many bands playing in China? Like, have I seen any like footage of it, or like clips of bands playing that side? And not really. Like you said, a lot of it's like isolated, like within their own kind of internal social media. And yeah, I'm shocked hearing the story. I can't imagine how you guys felt being on the receiving end of it. That's crazy though. Like I didn't know that at all. Like I obviously knew that the Chinese government is super strict with censorship, and I know that with like a lot of anime and series, they censor like blood and stuff in very like weird ways. But like I can imagine for your guys, like where the themes of your music, like the very concept and the core of your music is like darker and more aggressive, but the not being able, like, or the laws against sort of putting your beliefs on someone, that's interesting, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely. We had a situation in Turkey too where we played a show there and it was amazing. There were like 900 people there. We were like, what the hell? Anyway, like people like circle pitting, like having fun, whatever. The next day, we see this like article in the news, and it was like a far right um, religious extremist group, like but like a pretty big one. Like it had like 600,000 reshares saying that we were doing satanic rituals and like we must die and like we were stuck there for like a week, dude. Like we knew we were going to be fine because we were in Istanbul. It wasn't like the crazy part of Turkey, but like people legit thought like we were doing rituals because a couple dudes took their shirts off and ran around in a circle. It's like it's not
Fuck.
that deep, bro. Like yeah, so we've had some interesting tour stories and experiences. I couldn't think of all of them right now, but they come to me every now and then.
That's wild. Like, I'm not gonna lie though. Like, I know that you're saying that you were in Istanbul, like the less crazy part of Turkey, but I would still be a bit scared to like, am I gonna run into someone who's not going to be too friendly to me? Oh, is a bit of a thought as well.
Yeah, yeah, you got to keep your wits about you. Like there was Nate and Chris went to go get some food, and they didn't realize that like Istanbul is a big football city, and Besiktas was playing like another local team, and like they're both from Istanbul, and the football hooligans started throwing smoke bombs and shit, and they ran for their lives back to the hotel. They like weren't sure what's going on. Like I wasn't even sure in the beginning, but then I like checked because I'm like really into football myself. I checked and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's just the football hooligans. Like you guys are fine. Like they wouldn't have touched you. You're not wearing football jerseys. You're good.
Can you just imagine the horrible coincidence of just wearing something that you
Yeah,
shouldn't have been, that could have been
but
could have been misconstrued as that?
the coincidence too was that the article was like maybe like a day before, so they weren't sure if it was like what was going on. Like they had no idea.
In those situations, don't take chances. Don't ask questions. Get the fuck out. I think is the more.
Yep,
I think they
just
had
run.
the appropriate reaction to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like something I want to touch on as well is I'm seeing a lot happening regarding arson theory. You want to touch on that a little bit and tell me a bit more about what is arson theory? What is the goal behind it?
Yeah, so basically, it's a company started by Eddie from Suicide Silence and Ultra Parish and Cameron Almasi. He's been in the music scene more on the hip hop side of things for a while. Um, his main passion has always been metal, though, and we want to kind of create like a independent ecosystem for artists that want to stay like independent but still have the backing of label resources. So we've got a great team. We've got like Dave from Signs of the Swarm is head of publishing. Robbie is head of A&R and he owns Arachnid Cabs. We have Mike from Varials on the A&R team, like a couple other band guys. So it's besides the distribution side, it's a cool networking thing. But we offer higher percentages in distribution compared to DistroKid, just for the main distribution deal. Um, and there's four tiers to it. So you get the main distribution deal, you get Arson Plus, which allows you to have access to playlisting, Arson Pro, which allows you even more access, and then we have a full-on label where we only have about 3 bands signed. Psycho Frame is one of them. They're really cool. You should check them out. But yeah, it's basically just like a digital distribution system at the moment. We do have plans to um, expand the company. It's only about a year old, um, but yeah, it's going really well. Signed some cool bands, and being their A&R, they have more like someone to reach out to. Whereas with DistroKid, like you can sign yourself up to Arson Theory, but if you have an A&R approach you, you have someone that looks after you that tells you like, hey, like here's my constructive criticism on this song. Maybe you could do this. Like we have listening parties every Thursday. Everyone gives their opinion. And then like we can give them like constructive criticism and we can help them out and tell them what they need to do better with their socials and like sort of like not really a manager, I would say, but like just more guidance, Um, and like if I feel like they're good enough, and I'm like, you guys are doing really well, your streams are going really well, you guys are playing shows, your social media is popping, like I can upgrade them to Arson Plus, where they would get playlisting opportunities. And if you get playlisting opportunities, that's like everything. Like if you get playlisted, say for example, on the deathcore playlist, and you're number one, like you're gonna get like one band Deathstroke released their first single and got over 100k streams just because they got playlisted. So um, there's that. We do publishing and rights management as well, which I'm not too clued up about. I'm more on the A&R side of things. Um, but yeah, it's a really cool new venture, and I suggest everyone checking it out.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic, and there's like a lot of cool information there. And there, if I'm not mistaken, there is like a lot of uncertainty with what's happening with a platform like DistroKid at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, there's like talks of DistroKid being sold. So looking at like alternative options is something that people might definitely want to start doing and like understanding and knowing what's out there in ways that could benefit them.
Exactly, and like I mean, like the percentages themselves, like after Arson Theory takes their percentage, you're making it's like I can't say exact numbers, but you're making a hell of a lot more, like more than 50% what you would make on DistroKid per stream. Like, so it's kind of a no-brainer if you ask me. Like, it's a pretty good ecosystem for bands, and it's cool to see other like you said, smaller companies come up because DistroKid's being sold, I think, to Sony or one of those companies.
It's Goldman Sachs and the Rain Group, which is obviously like one of those.
I think Goldman Sachs has something to do with banking. It's like one of those like suits and ties type thing.
Because as far as I'm aware, there's nothing like confirmed yet.
Yeah,
Usually, when a corporation like that takes over from a company that was started by people who actually cared about, what the company was about, it's not long until it starts becoming the most soul sucking thing on the planet.
exactly. So it's cool to have the company is like obviously a lot smaller. We've got quite a few bands on already, but it's more personal. It's more of like relationship building, and like if it's non-contractual too. So like if you're not happy with it, you aren't contracted to stay with us in theory. And the same goes to us. Like if we don't feel that you are pushing yourselves the way you should and taking our advice, and like not necessarily saying you have to take it, but just as an example, and all that kind of stuff. Like it's also up to us where we could terminate it. So that helps too. There's no sign-on fees. There's no yearly fees. Like DistroKid's just trying to like funnel money out of you, basically.
And like, how do people get in touch with you guys? Like in regards to that, is it just like reaching out over socials, reaching out through a website, through email?
So with me personally, the bands I sign, like I want to make sure are bands I'm passionate about and I can like put my time and effort and invest myself into, to push as much as I can. But you can just go on www.arsontheory.com and sign your own band up. All it would take is copying over your DistroKid ISRC codes and transferring it over. It takes about 4 to 5 days, and then you should be able to get your stuff up on Arson Theory. So you can sign yourself up, but you just wouldn't have an A&R. That's the only difference.
The cool thing about that is that, like, for me personally, the way that I look at it is it gives, especially like local bands, with you being a well-known local musician and being involved in it, it gives local bands something to look towards, to kind of aspire towards. Hey, these are guys that are doing something. I'm going to work hard enough to get noticed, to become a project that this might care about, and work on improving. It makes things kind of scalable. It makes it kind of more, like, how do I say it, like, just more possible to realize different levels of it, instead of just being, we are a local band. It's kind of the end all be all of it. Maybe an international label might recognize us someday, but yeah, that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it.
also when an international label like recognizes you, they own all of your music. This is 100%. You keep 100% of your rights. So it's like with the bands I personally toured with that are independent are making way more money than the bands that aren't. So I've already signed the Fallen Prophets and No Closure, and they're doing super well so far. Fallen Prophets have some new music coming out soon, so we're definitely going to get that playlisted. Yeah, like they're doing super well. So they were the first band I reached out to, and then No Closure was super down. So I'm looking to definitely like look into more South African bands to see what we can do.
No, definitely, and hopefully, let them know that there is something that they can again work towards, something that puts more eyes and more international eyes as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of bands get to a point here and they plateau, and they just stay on that level. Like they don't like push to go to the next spot. Like just as like an example, like with the Varken battle, winning the heat, going and playing there doesn't mean that you're gonna get a record deal. You know, you gotta like put in the work. You gotta tour. You gotta like maybe sign a smaller distro deal and like tour. You've got to put like quit your jobs. I've had to quit jobs sometimes, like on the spot, just to go tour. Like it's a lot of sacrifice, and I understand not everyone can make that, but like you have to be able to drop everything and go, basically.
I think that's the most challenging part of it.
Luckily, I've been doing this since I was 16, so this is all I've ever done.
It's just like it's not news. It's not your first rodeo. No, like
So yeah, this is all I've ever done. In England, I was a chef for 5 years and I missed out on tours. That's actually how Lwandile joined the band. He joined as a fill-in for me, and then I was like, we were all like, this guy is way too good to just be a fill-in. Just make him the third guitarist. Like it's
I can imagine that. Like I feel like Lwandile is just overqualified in general. Like that's just that's just who he is. Like as a musician.
he just doesn't play bass. It's crazy.
I don't think I've ever seen him play bass. Actually,
It's
has he ever
nuts.
posted like any videos of it?
Dude, it's no, he hasn't. It's nuts. He's like insanely good. He can like slap and like do all this crazy stuff. I'm like, since when? What I've known you for like 5 years. Since when can you play bass? Like, what is this like?
Something that you mentioned, like with the band's hitting a plateau and not taking it any further, or it reminds me of something that Sash said when we did this, like when Naz did an interview with her asking what happens after Varken, like what actually happens, and something that you said lines up with something that she's like very clearly expressed is that if you do not take advantage of the opportunities presented to you, of the potential contacts, networks, and things that are presented to you by being at that festival, by being around those people, then that is unfortunately on you. If you don't take that next step, if you don't force it, and then, like you said, sacrifice, to do these kind of things, that is going to be the unfortunate reality of it is nothing's going to happen after it. And that's where that whole like catch 22 comes in of, fuck, do I do it? Do I drop everything and fucking send it? Or do I not do that and live with the what ifs?
That's why you got to put in the work. But also, as Tom, our drummer, says, you don't have to be good to be the best. Like you don't have to be the best band in the world, but if you put in the work, if you like show them that you're willing to like sleep in a van for 4 weeks and play every single show and sell merch and stuff, like you don't have to be as good as Lorna Shore or whatever. But like if you can put in the work and show consistency, like that shows a lot, I think.
Yeah, that makes like that makes complete sense. Yeah, like that consistency is just a big part of it, because showing up once and then being really good doesn't really stick in people's minds. It's not how it works.
Exactly.
You've obviously been in a couple of bands throughout your time. You've obviously been around. It hasn't just been Vulvodynia. You were one of like the original members of Your Cynical Sanity, which is the deathcore lords of Durban at this point. Tell a little bit more about like that time. Were you also that young at the time? Like,
Yeah, so at the time I was actually 14 when we started. And yeah, I was in the band for a couple of years until I was 16, I think I was. And then I left and started Vulvodynia. But we recorded our first EP, played quite a few shows. I don't know if you remember Live at the venue in Durban.
so Live was gone by the time I moved to Durban.
Okay, damn.
So Live had just closed like as I moved on.
Yeah, at one show they didn't want to let me in because I was underage. But I'm like, dude, I'm playing. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, your Cynical Sanity, bunch of great guys, great band. Everyone should go check them out.
No, absolutely. Mike is Mike has been on this show a couple of times in a couple of different formats. Most recently, Three Dudes That Cup.
Sup, motherfuckers? It's just three dudes that cup.
Go check that out to find out a little bit more about their the stories of Dwayne, Mike, and Regan and their adventures as vocalists in South Africa. That's a fun time. And I'm actually shocked at like how long you've been doing this, but not just that, like at the age that you were doing it as well. Because like I'm thinking back to when I was 14, I only picked up a guitar when I was 16. I have no fucking clue. Like I was clueless at 14.
So with me, like it started like when I was a baby, but like my dad raised me on like Pantera and Sepultura, and like a lot of like Nirvana and Guns N' Roses and like things like that. And then it just progressed and progressed. And when I was in fifth grade, I think I accidentally found Necrophagist on like a mobile download app, and I didn't even know what Tech Death was. And I was like, whoa, this is sick. Um, and then when I was about 12, I went to the Gateway Skate Park, and my friend Greg showed me Kookaburra by Chelsea Grin, and I was just like, I want to do this, dude. Like, this is sick. Like I want to make music, and I want to make music like this.
It's a core memory.
Yeah, absolute core memory.
Were you already playing guitar at that point and then just pivoted to that style of music? Or was that like the moment of like, I'm going to fucking pick up an instrument and this is what I'm going to do now?
Well, sort of. I was playing guitar. My grandfather got me like this guitar kit when I was like 12, so it was around the same time, and it was a bit on and off. And then when I started playing with the Cynical Sanity, I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And then honestly, only in the like I've been practicing like a lot over my life, but in the last 5 years, I've developed a new love for it in a sense. So I've been like wanting to, before it'd be like, oh, I gotta go practice guitar now. Now I like want to go play guitar. So it's a weird thing now that I'm older that like it doesn't feel like it's like a task or like something I have to go do. It's like I do it because I want to, and like I've noticed myself getting so much better because of it.
No, absolutely. Do you think like you said that like within the last 5 years specifically, do you think that's kind of like the influence of like someone like Lwandile as well, who puts so much time into like practicing as well, that like something that could have rubbed off on you was just something that came through naturally?
100%. Try play one of his riffs.
No, thank you. No, I'm this
Yeah,
this doesn't exist. Actually, I'm just gonna fucking
Chris and Lwandile's riffs 100% helped me get better, and I felt like Volvo plateaued in terms of the style of riffs we wrote, like going back to what we said earlier. After Psychosadistic Design, Mob Justice era, it was all like a bit samey after a while, and then they added their flavor into it, which first of all made me more open-minded to ideas that I wouldn't have usually have been. I would have been like, nah, I'm not vibing with this, but they were like, no, trust me, and then it would be my favorite riff in the song. And then secondly, it made me want to be better. Like it gave me a challenge. Like I need to learn this riff in 3 months to play it live in front of like an audience of people. So I have to do it. And then like it gives me like reason to be better. Like, you know, like I can't fuck this up in front of hundreds or thousands of people.
yeah, the pressure, the pressure is real. It's like some people's nightmares, waking up and you're in front of a crowd of like 4,000 people and you don't know how to play what you've got. No, thank you. I would I would practice night and day rather.
Yeah, definitely.
On that like sort of bombshell, thank you so much for having a chat with me. Where can people find you?
My Instagram at Luke Haarhoff _ my band's Vulvodynia. I'm in another band called Corfleur. It's at CORPSFLEUR if you're into shoegazy black metal. And then I'm also a writer for a deathcore band called Funeral Wake from Michigan. So if you want to check that out, it's super sick. Old Chelsea Grin vibes. Yeah, hit me up. I do ghost writing, session work, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me. Absolute pleasure.